Hiya. Hiya.
Hiya. Hiya.
Bonkers Babs here. How are you doing? I'm super excited and motivated and enthused to talk about my favourite subject, which is denial. I love denial. I know, it doesn't make sense. So I am a believer that joy, fulfillment, love, and all the good stuff isn't outside of me. It's not a journey that I need to get to the top of the mountain and find. It's not that I have to do lots of spiritual acrobatics and flip-flops in order to discover or read lots of books or do lots of stuff. I think joy, fulfillment, love, and all the good stuff is what's already within me. And that the only thing that is just stopping me from experiencing that is denying it, denying how I really feel. Which is why I wrote a book about it. Well, I didn't write a book. I'm a co-author. Here are all the other gorgeous, gorgeous authors here. Jo Baldwin-Trott from Hove. All these beautiful people. Beautiful people. We all co-authored a book called Being Fine, the other F word. So being fine and saying that I'm fine when I'm not. And disclaimer, I'm not saying don't be positive and don't be happy. What I'm suggesting here is that if I'm not feeling amazing, great, super duper, however everybody wants me to be, you all right, you good, are you good, all right, great, you good, and if I'm feeling not okay, it's okay to not be okay. So in Chinese medicine, disguising how I really feel and putting on a positive facade is called false joy, and it actually causes an imbalance in the body that usually tends to lead to high blood pressure, tension and anxiety, because I'm denying and suppressing what is really here. And there is an amazing movement called Brightsiding. Had you heard of Brightsiding?
I had not.
Nor had I until really recently. I was watching a podcast with Matt Kahn, one of my favourite spiritual teachers, and he was being interviewed by two gorgeous goddesses who were so awake. I will share the link to it underneath here. Do you remember what the podcast was called?
It was...
It's about his new book with spiritual myth busting.
Yeah, it was by Bliss. It was by a YouTube channel of two women called Bliss and Grit.
Bliss and Grit. Okay, I'll look for it and
Yeah.
post it underneath. But anyway, what they were saying is that they said there's this thing called Brightsiding, which is just false joying. It's just pretending that everything's fine when it's not. And I've then got on to research it, and it is fascinating. It's blowing my head off. And it's the toxicity of positive thinking. And I believe, unless it's sincere, unless it's authentic, I believe personally that positive thinking is a facade. It's a cover-up, it's a mask that does not allow me to connect to my heart and to what's really here for me. When I don't do that, I feel worse, ironically. So the more that I deny and suppress and pretend that everything's fine, the worse that I feel. And if all of these positive thinking, motivational, positive mindset, coaching, and all of these talks, if they really worked, would the suicide rate be so high at the moment? Would anxiety be so high? Would mental health challenges be so astronomically high? I do appreciate that there is a pandemic, I do appreciate that, but nevertheless, there's a lot of information about positive psychology, motivational, you can change your life, you can do it, you got this, go, 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 and all of this. Positive thinking, positive mindset, confidence coaching. If all of that really worked, do you really think that the climate of mental imbalance and astronomical male suicide rate would be as high as it is. I don't think so personally. That's just my personal opinion, and I can only speak for myself. Something that I know is that brightsiding or false joy or it's going to be all right and cheer up, it might never happen. Well, what if it does? What if it does? I'd rather just be real. Real self realness, because I find that beautiful. But I know out of my own life experience that whenever I am being my real self, I'm really not very welcome. And that's okay with me, because I've come to realize that realness isn't very welcome, because the person around me or the people around me are not willing to meet me in my pain, for example, or in my grief, because that will make that person that's listening to me, it will invite them to meet and face their own uncomfortable feeling that I am showcasing. So if I'm showcasing, I feel sad today, I'm feeling resentful today, for example, or I think the biggest illegal one is to say I'm really angry, which is why I love saying I'm really triggered and angry. And for me, that's really exciting, because it's a really, really interesting energy that for me is very cathartic, very transformational. I always get all my realizations when I'm triggered to bleep, and I go off and I write books, and I create, and I write notes and notes and notes on so many video ideas and books. There are so many books in this babe. When I'm triggered, because I get really interested, I go, wow, that's like this volcano going on inside of me. Tell me more, like, show me your energy, show me your force, show me your power. Let me hear you in a song, let me see your dance. I don't deny anything. And so I know that if I am presenting a point of view that is different from the mainstream, or if I'm presenting an emotional way of being that is different from the being fine, everything's amazing narrative, then I'm not welcome. And I think that's interesting, because I intend for a culture, for a society, for a world where I'm allowed to have my point of view. It's just my point of view, and I welcome your point of view. I don't need to agree with you, you don't need to agree with me, and it's okay to have a different point of view, and that is how conflict is resolved. Let's agree to disagree, but not in an aggressive way, but just, wow, I really honour, Jeff, I really honour your point of view, I really honour your beliefs, I really honour that you care about that, I really honour myself that I may not resonate with that, but I appreciate your passion. For example, can we still meet in a place that is called 0 point, that I call heart space? Can we meet in a place of peace, in a no man's land? Can we meet in that place of breath, where it's okay to be how you are, and it's okay for me to be how I am, even if I'm angry, even if I'm sad, even if I don't like this world, even if I feel completely alone? Is that okay to present that without me being told to buckle up, stiff upper lip, might never happen, darling, cheer up, write a gratitude list? That's my pet hate, because for me that's just denial. It's just my personal point of view. For me, gratitude is natural. I wake up feeling so grateful. I create and write and do stuff in the morning like a volcano. I don't have to try to be grateful if that's not what is there for me naturally. So, false joy versus real self. Real self is just however I am. That's my divine, sovereign self. So I don't need to be super happy, I don't need to be peaceful, I don't need to be balanced, I don't need to have a high vibration, I don't need to look a certain way, I don't need to be a certain age, I don't need to be anything to be allowed to be here. I just need to be my real self. That's what I appreciate, that's what I care about, that's what I'm bothering to do these videos. And I feel very alone in this. I feel that this idea that I have has rarely been welcome. That's okay. I respect other people's point of view. It's okay. I like being different. I've come to really embrace and really celebrate that. And I am interested in realness. So false joy is when I'm really pretending, really hard, trying to be what everybody wants me to be. I am people pleasing. I'm looking good, I'm trying to say the right thing, I'm trying to look in the right way. Have you noticed that every single advert for a job is asking for a positive, happy person? Seriously, what's that all about? I think, is that normal? Is that like a human experience to be positive all the time? Is it, or is there something else going on? And am I being coerced down a certain pathway of how the job wants me to be, or how society wants me to be? What if instead I could just be myself? That's why I love animals. They are just being themselves. If an animal's got a bad tummy, a dog or whatever, she's going to lie on the floor and fart. Very smelly farts, because it's being itself. It's expressing itself in its farty, smelly expression. And that's real. And a little child, a little baby tot, is going to express itself if it's not happy and scream very loudly, or do a hissy fit on the shop floor. If that's what they need to do, that's what they need to do. So real self-expression. And thank you for listening. Let me know what your thoughts are. And my last takeaway that I would like to offer is, it's okay not to be okay, I believe. If I'm not vibing with the collective, it's okay. I don't need to. There's only me here. Trinidaddy, hello! I'm so happy to see my friend on the thing. Om Shanti. So I met this lovely, beautiful soul in another lifetime that I had in this lifetime, where I was in a spiritual organization where I was taught to be soul conscious. And it's a beautiful teaching, because for me, soul consciousness is about being in my heart and being real self. However I am being, that's my real self. As long as I don't do any harm to others. I do have that rule. Do no harm, like allegedly the medical profession swear by. But I believe myself, I intend and I do my best, and I really care about doing no harm to others and being respectful and courteous as best as I possibly can be. So those are my own boundaries and guidelines, and I do my best to dance around those. But for me, soul consciousness is my heart-centeredness. And what we learnt about body consciousness, which is more of an egoic consciousness, is my false self. So not my real self, but my false self is more of an egoic, I would say, identifying with mind and beliefs about who I am or who I think I am. But I don't want to go down the mind pathway, because it's a very complicated, thick jungle full of thorns. But I know that solace, truth and realness is always in my soul. The soul is that space of my awareness, of my heart, of my heart space, heart-centeredness, that is okay with being how things are. And when I meet somebody else from that space of, you're okay, I accept you however you are being, as long as no harm is being done, that's always a disclaimer, and no disrespect is happening, I would add that too, then can I agree with you to be freely, to be myself and to have my point of view, as I really welcome and would love to hear your point of view without making any assumptions. I would love to hear how you see something and how you feel about something. And I don't need to give you advice that's unsolicited. That's another aspect of Brightsiding, of toxic positivity, is to give a person advice about being more positive, being more grateful, cheering up, putting on a brave face, writing a gratitude list. That's toxic. It's unsolicited advice that is not conducive to the heart expressing itself and finding its own way back home. It's like saying to a child, stop crying, you're meant to be happy, we're on holiday. So there we go. False joy versus real self-realness. Which will you choose? Thank you.